O Rei Vaishnava Guru, Yara Saguru, Dase Guru, Gori.
O Rei Vaishnava Guru, Yara Sagara,
Dase Karuna, Gori.
Jaya Vegadomi, Jaya Doshashodi, Jaya Guna Dehodase,
Jaya Vegadomi, Jaya Doshashodi, Jaya Guna Dehodase, Jaya Guna Dehodase. Satsanga deho he amare, Jaya Satsanga deho he amare, Jaya Satsanga deho he amare, Oshechi sangero ashe. Harinam Sankirtane, Tumi kripa kore Shadavindu diya, Tumi kripa kore Shadavindu diya, Tumi kripa kore Shadavindu diya, Deho Krishna nama dane. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara sakati ache.
Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakati ache.
Ganga, Krishna Krishna bole, Gai Tava Pache Pache. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Doyara Sagara, Veda Se Karuna Kori. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, Doyara Sagara, Veda Se Karuna Kori. Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, Vaishnava Thakura, Doya Se Sagara, Vaishnava Thakura, Doya Sagara, Vaishnava Thakura, Doya Sagara, Veda Se Karuna Kori. Veda Se Karuna Kori. Veda Se Karuna Kori.
Veda Se Karuna Kori.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. We are together again doing Bhakti Shastri. And remember last time we had to end a little early. So I did only the first part of chapter 10. And today we will continue on with chapter 10. Very amazing chapter. And before we do that, we'll just say the prayers to the spiritual master. Om Gyanam Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so chapter 10, we had covered up to text 7. We had talked about, discussed how Krishna is the origin of everything. Arjuna asked Krishna, how can I always see you? How can I always think of you? And then Krishna tells us that he's the origin of all these different qualities. And so whenever we see this quality in someone, we can remember Krishna. Whenever we exhibit these qualities, we can understand that this is Krishna. This is not me. This goes to Krishna. There's just reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and there's one place where someone is praising Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately remembers Lord Krishna at that time, showing the example of a devotee. He immediately remembers Lord Krishna, because the devotee, this is how the spiritual master, the great devotees, they can accept so much respect and worship and still not become proud. Because the moment they're offered that, they think, well, this quality is not mine. I didn't create this quality. I didn't create this body that I have. I didn't create this mind or this intelligence. All this is Krishna, and it's just Krishna acting through me. So good or bad qualities, they are all created by Krishna. And so we talked about these qualities in detail last time, and we had such a nice discussion, such a wonderful meditation on these qualities and trying to develop these qualities. So I have one question for all of you, and didn't have time to ask this question last time. There's many places where Prabhupada says, and it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that all these good qualities develop by chanting the holy name of Krishna. That in a devotee, when we become a devotee of Krishna, when we worship Krishna, particularly chanting the holy name of Krishna, automatically these qualities manifest within the heart. And in fact, the Chaitanya Charitamrita says that one does not have to develop these qualities separately. They automatically come through chanting. One does not have to develop them separately. So my question to all of you is, if that's the case, then why are we discussing this? Why are we conscientiously trying to understand these qualities and develop these qualities? Would anyone like to share?
We have actually forgotten our relationship with Krishna. So we have forgotten also that everything comes from Krishna. So we are just trying to rekindle our memory and re-establish our relationship with Krishna. That's what we are trying to do. Maybe that's the reason we are discussing this.
That's very nice. That's very true. In fact, Prabhupada says this, that everything that we do in Krishna consciousness, like for example, the flower that we smell when it's offered after Artik, is meant to revive our memory of Krishna, because that flower is transcendental. The smell in that flower is transcendental after it's offered to Krishna. Then by smelling that flower, we remind, oh, this is what spiritual smell is like. This is what the flowers in the spiritual world are like. And that revives our memory of Krishna. Similarly, prasadam, that's a big one, right? That food is transcendental. So when we eat that food, it reminds us, oh, this is what, spiritual food, the mercy of Krishna is like. So that's very nice, yes. In addition to that, it said that the holy name automatically gives us these qualities. So we want to revive our relationship with Krishna, but why not just chant the holy name and revive them? Why are we discussing? Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So I think that when we hear that these are the qualities, that will give us more faith in chanting Hare Krishna to develop that. So that both goes reciprocal, I believe. So then we will do the chanting in a proper way to develop these qualities, I believe.
Very nice. Yes. Actually, Prabhupada in one place says that all my books I've written all my books just to convince us to chant Hare Krishna. All the books are there to give us the conviction to chant. Because we don't have that conviction, because this is why we cannot chant like Haridas Thakur. If we had complete conviction, we would just chant. We'd be like, I don't need to attend any meetings to solve any problems. I don't need to go and do anything. the chanting will solve everything. So these books are there to give us the conviction that by chanting Hare Krishna, everything is achieved, everything is attained. And that's why Lord Chaitanya tells Haridas Thakur that you are my greatest devotee. It's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So showing that that is actually the goal. So very nice answer that these books are there to help us, encourage us to chant.
Also, Prabhu, I think we are in the material world and this is Kali Yuga. So because it is Kali Yuga, we all have those, also I heard that, all these demons are also there in our brain. Just like Paramatma, we also have, these negative qualities in us. So we have to introspect. So the moment we hear this, so I think start self-introspecting ourselves and we actually, streamline our devotional service towards the personality.
Yes, very nice. Very nice. So in the previous one, it was said that, well, this is made to lead us to chant. At the same time, that while that's true, we but by reading these qualities and discussing them, it's not completely clear how that leads us to chanting, right? So Lavanya Mataji, you're saying, well, we have to fix our consciousness. But again, that asks the question, that begs the question that why the chanting itself doesn't fix that consciousness. So anyone else want to give one more
Hare
shot?
Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Chanting cleanses our mind, where we can make our heart cleanse to make the place for Krishna. We have so much of impurities from so many lives because we are conditioned by so many things. So we are trying to cleanse our heart and get it purified, like erasing these 6 things like Kama, Krodha, Maha, Mada, Moha, Lobha, these things. So I feel that, Prabhu, like we are trying to erase our sins. So we are trying to make place for Krishna, like Cheto Darpana, like.
Yes. Yes, so that's the effect of chanting, and it removes these anarthas. And so, very nice. All these answers are correct. And so then that final step, that final leap is, so we got to the point of everything that the chanting is doing for us. And so then why are we still then reading about these and reflecting about these? Because the chanting of the holy name of Krishna brings all these qualities. It prepares our heart, like you said, Mataji, very nice. It prepares our heart for these qualities. At the same time, Krishna will never violate our free will. At the same time, we have to choose to accept these qualities, right? At the same time, we still have to drink the water. So they say you can take a horse to a river, but you can't force him to drink, right? So the chanting is bringing us to the river. It's right there, but still we have to accept it. And the quicker we accept it, the faster we'll move forward. That freedom and free will is always there. Simultaneously, and along with that, before that, Mataji had given the answer that the chanting is the reading is encouraging us to chant. By reading this and the qualities of a devotee and how wonderful it is, we're also learning about how wonderful it is to be a self-realized soul and getting inspired to chant. So it's both things. This is why this process goes together hand in hand. Because we have to, one has to do both. See, I'll read this one here quickly. See, in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 17:27-28, it says, "This practice of forbearance, Trinadapi Sunichena, is very difficult, But when one actually engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the quality of forbearance automatically develops. A person advanced in spiritual consciousness through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra need not practice to develop it separately. For a devotee develops all good qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. So you see here that how it's in black and white. It's being said here, and that's the importance. We have to focus, on that. The importance of how these qualities. Prabhupada mentions this also many times. The purpose of these verses. These qualities need not be just developed separately. By the process of devotional service, by chanting Hare Krishna, we get these qualities. At the same time, we have to meditate on them so that we get inspired, like this verse, right, about forbearance. It's inspiring us to chant it. Prabhupada says, simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra regularly, one's consciousness becomes purified. One gets a spiritual consciousness. And it's a process of the heart. So we and also the chanting prepares our heart, but then we have to accept it. We have to, and this sharpening the intelligence, studying the Shastras, reading Krishna's words, hearing Krishna's words, gives us that strength, gives us that inspiration to accept it. There's also a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita which says, Bahu Janme Koriyare Shavana Kirtana Tabutane Pahe Krishna Kore Premadhana, that one may go on chanting for millions of lifetimes if one chants with offenses. And unless one removes those offenses, one will not get pure love of God, Krishna Prema. So again, catch 22, one to say, well, if I'm chanting for millions of lifetimes, then why isn't it removing it? Because still we have to conscientiously stop offenses. And the chanting helps us. It gets us to that point. Just like Prabhupada in one place says, if we chant nicely every morning or 16 rounds, it'll protect us from offenses. But still, it's a process of free will. One has to make an effort. One has, that is never lost. Krishna never comes in between the devotee's free will. So free will, our choice, our effort is a big topic, a sustained topic throughout the scriptures. Everything can do everything. Everything's all, the holy name is all powerful. Service to Krishna is all powerful. But we still have to choose it. Okay. So text 8 through 11. Now, this is the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. And this is a very, very special section of the Bhagavad Gita. And we will read this. And it's very key, very important to note that this Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita is coming in the chapter after chapter 9. And after hearing these verses of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna tells Krishna, he actually tells him very clearly, he says that now my doubts are gone. So after hearing this Bhagavad Gita, he's fully convinced. So that's why this is the full Gita. But then soon after this, chapter 11 starts. And so Arjuna says that, well, just to convince others, again, being the Raja Rishi, he says that, please, can you show me your universal form? So no one doubts that did actually God speak the Bhagavad Gita. See, the Gita must be such an important book for us, because to give credibility to the book, Krishna actually shows the universal form. So that people will take the Gita seriously, Arjuna asks Krishna, please prove it that you're God. And Krishna does that. Just so we take his word so seriously. And yesterday night, we were reading the Gita Mahatmya. My father was reading it in his lecture. And that's what we see, that it said that everything, everything is attained by reading the Bhagavad Gita. One gets full knowledge, one gets its relationship with Krishna. So here it is. These are the 4 verses, and we'll look at them in detail here. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this is Sambandha Gyan, right? That those who know me as the source of all spiritual and material worlds, they know their relationship with me. And if they know this, then Abhideya. Those who perfectly know this, what do? They engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Text 9. Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So, Krishna now is further describing the Abhideya. All knowledge is Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Our relationship with Krishna, what is that relationship? How do we develop that relationship? Abhideya, the practice of Krishna consciousness, and Prayojana, the goal. So this is again Abhideya. So how do they always engage in devotional service? He says here, those who know this, they'll engage in devotional service and worship me. So this first verse by itself is almost complete. Krishna is saying, most fundamentally, I'm your father. I'm the source of everything. Aham bija pradapita. I'm the source of spiritual and material worlds. Knowing this, this is the ultimate fact. He's given all the reasons for this now. If you accept this, then you engage in my devotional service. But the part that's lacking is, well, how do I do it? These 4 verses, remember, are the complete guide. Engaging in devotional service means this, that our thoughts dwell in Krishna. Our lives are fully devoted to his service. So Krishna didn't leave anything out. It's not just, thinking about him. No, every aspect of your life is devoted to Krishna. You're working for Krishna. You're serving Krishna. And tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Not just your thoughts, but they're always hearing and chanting, enlightening one another and conversing about me. These 3 things. That's the process of devotional service. So, in the purport, Prabhupada says, their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they're actually situated in love of God. So as I discussed last time, and now again, Prabhupada confirmed it, we were talking about how in the initial stage, or maybe this is a different morning class. In the initial stage of devotional service, we are attached to the service. Our identity, our relationship with Krishna all revolves around the service. If someone takes that service away, or if somehow we lose that service, or we're unable to do that service, we feel spiritually down. We feel angry. We feel dissatisfied. We lose, our sense of identity. But as we advance in spiritual life, we're not attached to the service, but we are attached to being a servant. A more advanced stage of life is I'm attached to being a servant. The service may change, but Jiver Swarupa hoy Krishnena Nityadas. But my Swarupa, my fundamental nature is to be a servant. Prabhupada says, this devotional service is just like a seed. And if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Right. So, it's such a beautiful purport, right? So, just we have to water that tree, that seed of devotional service that's within our heart. And that see this little picture here is so nice. It's implanted in our stone-like heart. And it's a lot of work for it to come out and break out of it. But once it does, then it keeps growing. And then we just have to keep watering it. And it reaches ultimately Krishna. This is called the Bhakti Lata Bij. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows, fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then one cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. So, again, this is describing the process of Abhideya. The verses and Prabhupada in the purport fully expands on this, how we become fully absorbed in love of God. And it's actually not so difficult. It's not so difficult because we have to just take to the process. The problem is we don't want to take to the process. We want to do everything else. And we make it very complicated. And then text 10, the third Chatushloki of the Bhagavad Gita. It's Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayanti Te. So then someone may ask, someone may wonder that, well, what about knowledge? Why is it that, how is it that I'm going to be able to reach Krishna? It's not easy. It's quite difficult. You know, I'll be hearing and chanting, but I'll be conversing. But how will I know that I'm on this right path? How will I do the right things? To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. So if we're engaged in that service, Krishna gives the intelligence on how we can come to him. And this is very true. Many devotees will tell you that when a devotee receives a service, then Krishna gives the intelligence on how to fulfill that service. So according to one's service, one does actually get extraordinary powers. Someone's unmuted there. Can they please mute? I think it's AR. Yeah, okay. So they get that intelligence on how to do it. So, Prabhupada once said this in the context of the temple president, that if they are doing their service as a service to Krishna, right? If if it's properly, if the intention is to serve the Lord, then Krishna actually from within the heart gives, Prabhupada said, he will give you the intelligence on how to manage things very nicely. And sometimes we see that that's why, if they're in Krishna consciousness, they're doing it in the mood of service and Krishna consciousness, that things that they say will be right. They have a good sense because they have a special sense that this is the right way. I remember going to Evansville, Indiana. That's one of the places I moved to in the course of my work. And when I got there, then it was like this new place. I didn't know if there were any devotees. There were no known devotees there. And you go to a new town, you first thing you wonder is, where should I live? Like, which community, which apartments, which this. And so there's one Hindu temple there. And so I went to the Hindu temple. I mean, there's no ISKCON temple. And Evansville, Indiana, this is southern Indiana. Historically, it was the headquarters of the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. And now it's a very sweet place. Like, all that is gone. That is historically what was there. It's actually a nice town. I liked it. Friendly people. Sometimes in like so-called liberal places like California, people are less friendly and more discriminatory than in supposedly Republican white towns, where people are very, very friendly and they're quite happy to see you. So went there. So I went to the Hindu temple, trying to figure out where should I stay. And the priest there, he was he was a very dedicated priest, nice priest, and the priest there. I asked him, where should we live, and just a mile away, a few miles away, there's an apartment complex. He said, you stay there. There's the Oak Brook Apartments. Stay in the Oak Brook Apartments. And I think that's what it was called. I can't remember exactly what it's called now. If Brandy's on the call, she'll know. And I first of all, I was like, okay, he's saying that, but let me. So I checked out a few other places. I decided to stay somewhere else. That didn't work out for us. And then finally, I came and stayed in exactly those apartments that the priest had pointed to. So, he, whatever it was, he was serving the Lord. He had, a connection, and they give guidance. Krishna can speak through anyone. And I kind of realized, he was giving me good advice, and Krishna was speaking through him. So Krishna inspires the devotee to the degree that we are constantly serving them. And this is why, especially in the very advanced devotees, and this is one reason people actually accept a spiritual master, they go to a pure devotee and immediately they say what's in our heart. They immediately, someone else, we talk to them, we counsel them for 2 hours, we're dealing with this thing and this thing and this thing, and no one figures out what it is. And you go to a pure devotee. I've had this experience with my spiritual master, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, many times. Others have had this experience with their spiritual master. A disciple of His Holiness Rompa Swami Maharaj was saying the same thing. Disciple of Radharani Maharaj was saying the same thing. That they will speak exactly to your heart. Like, they'll identify what is the problem and speak to that. Because they're so connected with the super soul. The super soul is inspiring them to say the right thing at the right moment, at the right time. And this is why these personalities can affect people so deeply, though they spend less time with them than others do, but they affect them so deeply. This is why they can move very famous, very big people, because these people, they can tell that this person is saying things that, how could he be saying this at the right time, the right place? For them, it's just, one innocent sentence, like, you should also take care of your job, like even something in material things, like, also don't neglect your job. And then 2 weeks later, you realize why they said that, because actually your job is endangered. Right? That's a material example. But and then spiritual example also, like, you're hiding something. The thing that you're struggling with is maybe chanting your rounds, and they deal just with that, and they don't talk about the other things. And how did they know? No one told them. So this is called being connected. And Krishna says that a sincere devotee who they themselves are always thinking of Krishna and wanting to serve Krishna. Krishna takes care of everything. He says, right, I carry what they lack, I preserve what they have. Then he makes their service very fruitful, very easy, by giving them the potency, the inspiration to do that service. So if they're a spiritual master only for the service of Krishna, for no other reason, then Krishna will give them the empowerment to be a spiritual master. And externally you'll see, well, what's so great about this person? Why should I accept, why are people so inspired by them? There's the class that they gave was just like a normal class. What is there? But it's the spiritual strength. In the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says there's two types of strength: material strength and spiritual strength. And while material strength can fail you, but spiritual strength never fails you. Right? You're always 3 steps ahead if you have the spiritual strength. And that's what we want to develop. And that's what the devotees have, due to which we can take their shelter. In one class, Romapad Swami Maharaj was saying that the spiritual master is one. Right? All these spiritual masters are one, in the sense that everything for Krishna, everything they're doing is for Krishna. And because each one of them is doing everything for Krishna, only for Krishna, therefore the consciousness is one in all of them. It's for Krishna. And that's why the advice that you'll get from them will be very similar. I recall one time my mother asked a question from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who's her spiritual master, and he gave a certain response in a certain way. And then she asked the same question from His Holiness Romapad Swami Maharaj, hoping and expecting a different answer, but he gave the exact same answer in the exact same way. Right? And then it was so amazing. Like, you could see they're connected to the same source. She wasn't hoping. She thought that he would give a different answer based on his background or his approach to things, that he would give a different answer, but he gave the same answer. So it's coming from Krishna. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. So everyone, that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. There's room for everyone in spiritual life. The only thing that slows us down, only thing that slows anyone down, is their own lack of desire, or their lack of desire to engage in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada here is clearly saying that even if you have a spiritual master, even if you're in this movement, you still may not get the association, the guidance that you have wished for, which is something that many of us experience. That, I didn't get enough association with my spiritual master, but that's okay. He's saying that if we always engage ourselves, and Krishna from within our heart sees that, it is the spiritual master coming through the heart, that he sees how this devotee is trying so hard, and my pure devotee, who's his spiritual master, is not with him anymore, or they're in a different country. They're not so easy to access because they have so much responsibility. So I will guide them, because They've accepted a spiritual master, they've taken the step, but they need help, so I will guide them. They've done their part, so now I'll do my part. So, so nice. In this verse, the word buddhi yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjuna, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of buddhi yoga. Now buddhi yoga is explained. Buddhi yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called buddhi yoga. I brought all these passages in because these 4 verses are so nice and the purports are so nice. It's hard to skip anything. Like I had to read these, as you can see, so nice. I mean, literally, actually, if you just memorize these 4 verses, you can give an amazing class anywhere. Because these 4 verses are the whole Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of everything. You just quote these 4 verses, like first class, quote them in order, the second class, quote them in a different order, the third class, just quote 2 of them. People will think, oh, you know, so many verses, and perfect verses, fully relevant. And they'll be relevant to every class. This Krishna is so kind. He says that people in Kali Yuga are so lazy, they won't even have time for 700 verses. So I'll just give it in 4 verses. And so now the final verse, Krishna has described that he will give intelligence. And now, if there's any doubt, he tells us not only does he give that intelligence, but if we keep to this process, sambandha, avideya, 11th verse, prayojan. What happens? Teshameva partham aham ajnanajam tama nashayam atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhashvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Special mercy. So this is not your karma, then you know you're doing devotional service and you get purified. No. By his mercy, by endeavoring in devotional life, by Krishna's mercy, all ignorance, all darkness is destroyed. How? With a shining lamp of knowledge. Krishna within the heart gives you full knowledge of everything. Like you go to a pure devotee and they know everything. Like they always, you know, you ask a difficult question, they have the right answer. They may not know the details of the exact verse, but they know the right thing to do. Why? Because Krishna has illuminated their heart with knowledge. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. I thought bhakti was the prayojan. Why is knowledge the prayojan? Why is knowledge being said to be the goal? Because this is not material knowledge, this is not speculative knowledge. This is transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is the same as bhakti or devotion. Very key point to be noted. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam is knowledge, right? But reading Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said, is pure devotional service also. Knowledge about Krishna means factual knowledge, vijnana, not just jnana, realized knowledge. And that knowledge is bhakti. Bhakti is that knowledge. Because when you think about it this way, that when you know someone, then that's because you truly love them. And when you love someone, then you truly know them. People who love each other, like let's say, give the example of husband and wife, which is, not always the case, but let's assume that they love each other deeply. Then the wife knows the husband the best. The husband knows the wife the best. Their knowledge of each other was not cultivated separately, but when they have in bhakti, when they're serving each other, there's devotion, there's love there, then you know that person the best. Love is the access to someone's heart and mind, right? So the result of loving someone is you really get to know who they are. And that's bhakti. That is also love. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life, Prabhupada says. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord. In devotees' lives, we see, oh, it's so easy. It is easy. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that by remembering Lord Chaitanya, that which is difficult becomes easy. And if we forget Lord Chaitanya, then that which is easy becomes very difficult. The materialists, they slog away and they work and work, and then, one day the stock market goes down, they lose it all. And the devotees of the Lord, they're serving Krishna, and all good fortune comes to them. Everything. There's one verse one passage of verse that after initiation, Prabhupada says, after taking shelter, Krishna, first of all, takes care of all the devotees, not all, but the whatever material desires that a devotee has, or necessities that the devotee has. Krishna takes care of them. And so many examples I've seen, people, they get initiated right after that, they get settled in a nice job, or their life kind of calms down, but they're trying so hard, they're looking for a spouse, they get a spouse. It's in so many ways that everything just settles down. Then of course Krishna brings challenges again, and there's more challenges, and there's more challenges, right? Those are ways of purifying us. But Krishna takes care of his devotee. You feel cared for. When you're a devotee, you know Krishna's caring for you. And if we don't feel that way, we should become more serious in our Krishna consciousness. But those who are serious, they always say that Krishna sends the right people at the right time. He gives some guidance. He saves us in difficult situations. So now, this is Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Congratulations on completing the Gita. So now this is Arjuna's response. Arjuna accepts that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the very next text, this is why our acharyas, they say this is Chaturshloki Gita. In the very next text, he accepts Krishna, and we'll read that verse. He says, great sages confirm this, but Arjuna especially accepts Krishna's own statements as truisms, since no one among the demigods or demons can perfectly know the Supreme. Only the Lord can fully know himself. Arjuna therefore requests to hear about Krishna directly from Krishna. He wants to hear more now. So now everything that follows these verses are more like expand on this, expand on this. Arjuna, before the Chaturshloki Gita, was not fully convinced, did not fully surrender to Krishna. So that's like, answer this question, please help me. After chapter 10 and these verses, everything, all the chapters that you'll see, Arjuna is just asking for further clarification. He's already planning to fight. He just needs, some polishing. He has Krishna there. He's talking. He's like speaking with this world famous expert. So why not, churn the butter more? Why not get some more knowledge out of it? So he requests that tell me more. How can I remember you? How can I see you in this world? And that's why after this, we have a list of verses. Krishna saying, I am this, I am this, I am the taste of water, etc. By hearing about Krishna's opulence, one will always remember him and thus relish great nectar. So what are these verses? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adidevam Ajam Vibhum, Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve, Devarshir Naradastatha, asito devalo vyasa swayam chaiva bhavishime. Note that these verses are not spoken before, these are spoken before seeing the universal form. It's not after seeing the universal form. Arjun is convinced now, even before Krishna is shown that he's in fact, God. Arjun said, "You are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth, Param Brahma, Param Dham, the highest abode, the highest Brahman." So this here annihilates Mayavad philosophy. Krishna is not Brahman, he's Param Brahma. You are the unborn. So it's not Brahman coming down in human form, taking birth. No, you are transcendental. You have a transcendental form. Pavitram Purush Paramam Bhavan. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. You are divine. Unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. These 4 verses were the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Chaturshloki. O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So here you see in this image, this is a very kind of elusive image. This is oil flowing out of a pot. So it's described, or Acharya says that an advanced devotee, their mind is like Taila Dhara, that their absorption in Krishna is like the flow of oil, unbroken. When water flows, it goes, it's not smooth, right? It's not constant. It's not very forceful. When oil flows, it's very, you have a very distinct flow. So Arjuna is never satiated by hearing, after hearing Krishna's pastime. It's not like he hears Krishna's glories and then he's like, let me take a break, watch some TV, and then I'll come back and I'll hear some more. No, the moment Krishna stops, he's like, I'm never satiated. Please, I want to hear more. I want to taste the nectar of your words. And this is the thing, that when we get attached to reading Shastra, it's like this nectar. We don't, it's like you read Bhagavad, it's like so wonderful. You read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's so wonderful. You're trying to figure out which book should I read. They're all so wonderful. We want that taste. Of course, then we forget. And then as soon as we get in material life, we just like, even if we have time, then we'll just waste that time in reading the news for hours and hours. But Arjun wants to hear more and more about Krishna. And so this is the second part 2 now, of the rest of the chapter, which is Krishna telling Arjuna how he can always meditate upon him in this material world. Though this seems like a lot of verses and we're already an hour in, it's a very quick section because it's not so much philosophical content. It's Krishna, mainly descriptive. 19 through 42 is seeing Krishna in nature and the world. So how to see Krishna in this world. Krishna gives a partial list of his unlimited opulences. Thank God it's a partial list, revealing himself to be the cause of everything. Text 21 to 38 present Krishna's opulences by showing him as the chief of all qualities and personalities. Krishna says, I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living beings. I am the soul of their soul. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Beginning, middle, and end. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. So in these verses, you'll see Krishna's telling you that he's the best of all things. So in terms of time, there's so many moments, but the key, most principal moments are the beginning, the middle, and the end. The introduction, the body, and the conclusion, right? All the professors, writing professors, this is what they tell. So Krishna is saying, I am those 3 things. Everyone looks for those things. I am those things. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. So Krishna came as Kapila. He was one of the Adityas. All the demigods are Adityas, being born from Aditi, right? The demigods are born from Aditi, right? Okay. The demons are born from Diti. Sorry, I should know this. My mind is confused right now. So, therefore, they're known as Adityas. The best of the Adityas is Vishnu himself. He's Kapila the child of Garda Muni. No, not Garda Muni. Sorry, Kashyapa and Aditi.
Isn't he Vamandev?
Yeah, Vamana. I was just gonna say he's Vamandev, not Kapildev. He's Vamandev. Yes.
I think Kapil Dev is a son of Kardama Muni
Yeah,
and
and Devahuti. Of course, yes. No, I just confused myself. This is Vamandev, of course. So this is Vamandev, and we have Kashyap Muni and Aditi. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. He's the sun. Right? There's no light in this world more powerful than the sun. As I mentioned before, millions of miles away, and it's still heating us. How hot that sun is. Of Maruts, I am Marichi. Of the different Maruts, he is Marichi, the best amongst them. Among the stars, I am the moon. Very interesting that the Vedic scriptures, they call the moon a star, not a dull planet that's reflected from the sun. It's actually a star. It has its own light. And that's because in Vedic cosmology, the moon is farther than the sun. The sun is actually closer, the moon is farther. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Why the Samaveda? Again, the best of the Vedas is the Samaveda because the other sections of the Vedas deal mainly with rituals and ritualistic sacrifices, but Samaveda directly glorifies Lord Vishnu. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. The mind is the sixth sense, the most important one, and it's the carrier of the other senses. In living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of Vasus, I am fire, Agni. Of mountains, I am Meru. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. Of bodies of water, I am the ocean. I mean, there's so many bodies of water, nothing compares to the ocean, right? It's so vast, especially when you go on the ocean, like if you ride on a boat in the ocean, you're just like, this is endless. It's like the closest to the experience of infinity that you come in this world. That's my personal realization. It's like on the bottom, there's no end. The left, right, in every direction, it's just, if you get off that boat, there's no hope. So I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Bhrigu is the greatest sage. He is such a great sage that he could even kick Lord Vishnu on his chest as a way to test, to show his glories. He did that. And still, the Lord did not get angry at him. Of syllables, I am Om. Of sacrifices, I am chanting of the holy name, Japa. Here we go. Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi. Yes, here we go. Text here. I'm mantra, the sacred Om. Right? So we always start every mantras with Om, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, unless we're taking the name of Krishna, which is also non-different than Om, then there's no need. You don't have to say Om in the beginning. Japa is the greatest sacrifice. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. So when you go in the mountains, you also have this experience. Like I mean, so powerful, these mountains. Just one boulder can completely crush you. And the mountain is made of billions and trillions of boulders. Of all trees, I am the banyan tree. The banyan tree is such an amazing tree. You know, like any other tree you put next to it, it'll look like a little, little pond in front of this banyan tree. They're unending, they're extensive. One tree can be the size of 1 acre. They just keep on growing. Each one of their trunks is so powerful. The banyan tree, the wood is so strong. Of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. This is why so many, just about every narration in our scriptures connects with Narada Muni. And you wonder, why is that? Because he's the sage amongst the sage. There's something special about him. It just is. Krishna's giving him that empowerment. He's the one who goes and makes all the sages. He preaches to them and they become fully transformed. He's the saint of bhakti. In the Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada writes that Narada Muni is the saint of bhakti. He's the official kind of authority on bhakti. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitratha, the best of the Gandharvas. Among perfected beings, here it is finally, I am the sage Kapila. And here we have Garda Muni and Devahuti. Of horses, know me to be Ujjai Shava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. How beautiful this horse must have been that came out of this nectar ocean. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavata, the best of elephants. Among men, I am the monarch. The monarch should be, theoretically, the best amongst the group. That's why they're the leader, they're the king. So Krishna says, I am the monarch. What this also means, and Prabhupada says this, is that therefore, if there is a Raja Rishi, a king who's very God conscious, Krishna will speak through them. And even if not God conscious, if they hold that role, they are given special intelligence, empowerment to do that duty if they are somewhat sincere. Like when Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, when they're serving under the Nawab, then when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to that area, the Nawab gets knowledge that people are calling him God. That this person is actually, not just a saint, but he's actually an incarnation of the Lord. And so the Nawab asked Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami that, the Nawab was a Muslim, and the Muslim kings at that time were very intelligent. They would keep Hindu ministers, because then the people, they could earn or win the trust of the people. Because if he's a Muslim king, but he has Hindu ministers, then they will advise him in favor of the Hindu population. And the Muslims are happy because there's a Muslim king. A very nice balance there. So he went to them and said, you're a Hindu. Do you believe? I mean, as a Muslim, if he says, no, this is not an incarnation of God, then people will question him and say, oh, he's a Muslim, that's why he's saying that. But he asked Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, do you believe that this person is an incarnation of God? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, being unalloyed devotees of Lord Chaitanya and of the Lord, they say, of course, that he is an incarnation of the Lord. But then Rupa Goswami there in the Chaitanya Chaitanya particularly mentions, he tells the Nawab, he says, but you are the king. And look in your own heart and see, do you feel that this person is actually an incarnation of God? Because the Lord will inspire you from within your heart, because you are the king, to make that right decision. And then the Nawab says, I also feel within my heart that he is an incarnation. He is the Lord. Now, the Muslim king was not, exactly a Raja Rishi according to Vedic concerns or, understanding, or he wasn't like an unalloyed devotee of Krishna. But Rupa Goswami was telling them that you are king, and so Krishna will give you guidance if you ask for that guidance. So even a Muslim king can have that if they're doing their duty and if they're in that position. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Nothing more powerful than a thunderbolt. It can split a tree into half. Among cows, I am Surabhi. Krishna with the cows. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. Of serpents, I am Vasuki. Vasuki. I think Vasuki was also used to churn the milk ocean. Interesting that it doesn't say Ananta Shesha. Of serpents, I am Sheshanaga. It says Vasuki. If anyone knows or finds the answer to that, please let me know. I'm curious about it. He says, of serpents, I'm Vasuki. Why doesn't he say, of serpents, I'm Ananta Shesha? Well, here we go. Because Ananta Shesh is not a serpent, but he's a Naga. Right? Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. So we got it all covered. Of serpents, he's Vasuki, because Vasuki was used, but he also has many heads, because it's described particularly when they were churning the milk ocean, then the side that no one wanted the head, because the side with the head, fire was coming out of Vasuki's mouth. And so that side, people were getting burned as they were churning. Everyone wanted the tail. But yet I think still he doesn't have as many hoods as Sheshanaga does, Ananta Shesha does. And so the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. Serpents, Nagas, there's a technical difference. Among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Krishna is Varuna. Because he's an aquatic, but he's the king of the ocean, of the waters. He's the best of the aquatics. He lives in the ocean. In that sense, he's an aquatic, but he's a demigod. Of departed ancestors, I'm Aryama. I'm not sure who Aryama is. If someone finds that, let me know. Among the dispensers of law, I'm Yama, the Lord of Death. The Lord of Death gives the final judgment. Among the Daityas, demons, I'm the devoted Prahlad. So see, even amongst the demons, Krishna is present as Prahlad. The best among the demons is Prahlad. He was born in a demonic family, and that's why Krishna is Prahlad. So beautiful. Among subduers, I am time. We talked about this last time, that Krishna is time, because everyone ultimately has to surrender or be subdued by time. Among beasts, I am the lion. Among beasts, Krishna is the lion. Wow. It's so powerful. I mean, with one paw, they can finish a person. No. Among birds, I am Garuda. No one can compare with Garuda, right? It's described he is so powerful that just recently I was reading something about the power of Garuda. That I think it was in the Ramayana. That's what I was reading. That when Indrajit puts the Nagpash around Lord Ram and Lord Lakshman, then Garuda comes and rescues the Lord. And he's so powerful that these Nagpash is like a celestial, it's Brahma's or something like that own weapon. It's not an ordinary Nagpash. No one can break it. Those serpents are so strong. No one can cut them. I mean, Hanuman, how powerful he was, right? He could lift a whole mountain and bring it, but he couldn't get rid of the snakes. Only Garuda, he came in and he gets rid of them. And he's undefeatable. No one tries to ever fight with him. Of purifiers, I am the wind. The wind purifies everything. Very interesting. Like you have a mattress. Any of you have small children, right? And if your child, passes water at night in the mattress, problem, parents' problem, it happens. Then if you put it out in the sun and in the wind, it gets purified. Of course, to a limit, but accidents happen, right, with children, and it gets purified. Because of purifiers, I am the wind. Are the wielders of weapons, I am Rama, Parashurama. 21 times he annihilated all the demoniac kings just with his axe. Of fishes, I am the shark. Oh my gosh, right? These sharks, they are, I mean, the mammals of the fishes of the ocean are the largest in the world, not those of the land. So like an elephant is, I don't know, maybe 1/10 the size of a blue whale. And the whale is so big, so powerful. And imagine, blue whales are somewhat friendly, but a shark that size, how dangerous. They just, eat up everything. Of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. In Mayapur, we have beautiful Ganga there. Lord Chaitanya was enjoying his pastimes right next to the Ganga. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. We already had this, right? Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. Among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. So Prabhupada, that's why he said that the greatest science is to know the science of the soul, the science of the self. And while our mundane education gives us all the sciences, because it lacks in giving this science, it doesn't give us, it's not the best institution for education. Whereas the sages of India, and to this day, many places, the spiritual institutions, they are giving the highest science because they are giving science of the self. The logic can go on. The logicians, they're always countering and each other and cutting each other's arguments. But when you come to the conclusive truth, then that's all logic then takes shelter of that truth. Of letters, I am the letter A. Why is that? The letter A, the letter A, in every culture, very interestingly, is the first letter. It's the first. Krishna is the first of everything. Among compound words, I am the dual compound. Even in words, Krishna is telling us. The dual compound. In Sanskrit, there are also many compound words, of which the dual compound, like Rama, Krishna, is called Dvandva. In this compound, the words Ram and Krishna have the same form, and therefore the compound is called dual. So you have various samasas, compounds. You have the Bahuvriha samasa and the other samasas, and among all of them, this one is the best. I'm forgetting the Sanskrit name for this compound. I just escaping my mind. I'm also inexhaustible time. Krishna is time. Again, being mentioned. Of creators, I am Brahma. Well, why is that? Because he's the first creator. I am all devouring death. So death is seen as a negative thing, but Krishna is that death where he is giving birth and also taking away one's lifespan in the form of death. I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame. Among women, I am fortune. Among women, I am fine speech. Among women, I am memory. Among women, I am intelligence. Among women, I am steadfastness. Among women, I am patience. Of the hymns in the Sama Veda, I am the Brihat Sama. So all these descriptions of women, we see that that how Krishna is so glorifying women. Women also have wonderful qualities, and we see this in the lives of the great saints, female saints of our tradition, and Krishna holds no bias, unlike those who actually do. Krishna holds no bias. He gives the qualities that that every type of person possesses, and celebrates those qualities that are in them. So seeing equality doesn't mean that we see that everyone has the same qualities. Equality means that everyone has some qualities that are very wonderful, and therefore they're equal in that way, because except for Krishna, no one has all the good qualities. So if we all have some qualities, men are better in certain things, women are better in other things, according to Krishna. And so in whatever our aspect of quality is, we can excel in that, with those qualities. Of the hymns of the Sama Vedas, remember Krishna just said of the Vedas, he's the Sama Veda. Now, of the hymns in the Sama Veda, I am the Brihat Sama. Brihat Sama, we should read that sometime. Of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Wow. Of poetry, I am the Gayatri mantra. Of months, I am Marga Shirsha. This is why, just on this last one, this is why so many people chant the Gayatri mantra, because it is the best poetry. Of months, I'm Marga Shirsha, November, December. This is the time of harvest in every tradition. Of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. A lot of flowers here. I am the gambling of cheats. So even if we play a game of dice, we can remember that this game is Krishna, Krishna's energy. Of the splendid, I am splendor. Krishna is a splendor in all things that look splendid. I am victory. I am adventure. Krishna's a cool guy. With Krishna, you get all the adventure. You always win. You're always part of the winning party, because Krishna's victory. Krishna does adventure. I am the strength of the strong. Krishna's the strongest. Of descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, his father. I am Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. So Krishna says this in the Gita in many places, that of the Pandavas, I am Partha, I am Arjuna. He tells Arjuna, you are dearest to me, you are my friend. So he clearly sees Arjuna as his wonderful devotee. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. He's the best sage, he's the writer of the Vedas. Among thinkers, I am Ushana. Shukracharya was a spiritual master of the demons. He was an extremely intelligent and far-seeking politician. Thus, Shukracharya is another representative of the opulence of Krishna. So Shukracharya is the same as Ushana, and he's like the guru of the bad guys, and he's also very ill-motivated, right? He told Bali Maharaj not to give charity to Vamandev. And so why is Krishna saying this? Because whenever the devotee sees some skill or quality in someone that's very immense or extensive, they respect that. They respect that person for those qualities because they understand that Krishna's power is in this person to a larger extent than in other people. And so they are respecting Krishna's power that's invested in them. So Shukracharya has to do this because this is what makes the Lord's pastimes come about nicely when he's scheming in different ways, when Shukracharya is scheming in different ways. But he's still doing Krishna's work inadvertently and therefore Krishna's given him a lot of potency to cause trouble. Among all the means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. So ultimately, when all else fails, then people who don't respond otherwise, they respond by punishment. And sometimes, many times it's very bad, but sometimes spending some time in a prison becomes the most defining experience in a person's life for the better. Like people realize, like, oh, my actions do have consequences. I had to, sit in this cold cell for weeks or month and experience the greatest misery I've ever experienced in my life. And that then after that, they will never do anything wrong. Of course, some prisons make the prisoners crazy. They make them mad. And then they become worse, but that's different. What Krishna here is speaking about is the punishment that actually rectifies a person's character. Of those who seek victory, I am immortality. I am morality, I'm sorry. Of those, I'm sorry, dozing off a little bit. Of those who seek victory, I am morality. Very interesting. Right? Of all the brothers, the most powerful was Yudhishthira because he was Dharma. And he was the son of Dharma. He due to his moralities, his adherence to Dharma, he became so powerful. And that was shown in the story when all the other brothers, they die from drinking the water from the lake, but Yudhishthira does not die because he's so grounded in Dharma. And this is why all the brothers, they were so respectful to him because they knew they owed their life to Yudhishthira. If Yudhishthira Maharaj wasn't the intelligent person that he was, the wonderful person that he was, they would not have survived all of Duryodhana's intrigue and his plans. Of secret things, I am silence. Among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence, one can make progress very quickly. Wow. What a wonderful passage. Among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence, one can make progress very quickly. There's, just for interest's sake, I'm telling you that there's one passage from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur where a disciple comes up to him and he says that there's no time to chant. And at that time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was encouraging, not requiring, but he was encouraging many of the devotees, his disciples living inside the temple or outside as grahasthas, to chant 64 rounds every day. And so one of his disciples came and said, there's just no time. And we cannot chant 64 rounds. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's response was that there's time for chanting, but that time is going into prajalpa, is going into talking. So if we remain silent, if we talk less, we speak less, we can easily make progress very quickly because we'll have time for our spiritual life. Of the wise, I am the wisdom. Again, if we are wise, we have nothing to be proud about because that wisdom is Krishna. Similarly, if we see someone who's very wise, we respect them particularly because who they are, but also because understanding that Krishna's energy is there. I am the generating seed of all existences. All these living entities, where they come from, they're coming from Krishna's seed. And then finally he concludes, is coming towards the end. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad urjitam va tattadeva vagachantam mama tejum shasambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring, there we go, spring from but a spark of my splendor. Right? The Krishna splendor. He says, all of this I'm describing, it's so awesome, it's so amazing. You know, we think of the ocean, the sun, we think of the moon. But Krishna says, all of this is just a unmute, please. Sorry, mute. Sakhi Stali Mataji, can you please mute your phone?
Sorry, Prabhuji, by mistake.
No problem. Thank you. Yes. So, so this is the glory of Krishna. I mean, we just can't imagine, fathom how great he is. Like, you just look at the ocean, for example, again, and you think, like, whoever made this ocean must be so great. The ocean is so great. And that's just a spark of, you know, in comparison to everything that Krishna produces and comes from him. So how much happiness must be there in a relationship with Krishna? In summary, nothing great or small can exist without Krishna. There's no end to Krishna's opulence. For everything opulent, beautiful, and powerful springs from but a spark of his splendor. Indeed, Krishna supports and pervades the entire universe with a mere fragment of himself. So here we go. We're back here. We've completed the entire Gita. Thank you very much. And we've completed chapter 10 as well. So I will stop here. All wondrous phenomena showing power, beauty, grandeur, or sublimity, either in the material world or in the spiritual world, are but partial manifestations of Krishna's divine energies and opulence. As the supreme cause of all causes and the support and essence of everything, Krishna is the supreme object of worship for all beings. This is the summary. Whatever wonderful, beautiful thing you see, always remember Krishna in seeing that. And understand that that is Krishna, Krishna's energy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we have a few minutes for comments and questions. Literally a few minutes. So if anyone has something to share, please raise your hand. Okay, question from Prashant Modani. On 1033 plus purport that you showed, I had a question. Is the Dvandva also indicating that in Gita, Sanskrit uses a lot of opposites, like labha labha, win-loss, hot, cold, friend, foe, and so on. So I am both, or I am both opposites, or the opposites are one, and the one is me. Or the opposites are one, and the one is, and that one is me. Yes. So Krishna is, actually Krishna has a name like this, that he is the one who resolves all contradictions. Krishna says in the Ishopanishad, I walk, but I don't walk. In the Gita, we were just reading, right? He says, I'm within everything, but I'm not in everything. I'm outside of everything. So that is a quality about the Lord. He also speaks in a way that is somewhat elusive, right? He also says that we should rise above the dualities of this world, like hot and cold. So he does speak about twos, like, you know, hot versus cold, you know, fame and infamy, etc. You could say the diametric opposites of this world. So he definitely tells this in the Gita many times. This is one of his features, like you're saying. The dvandva is just a grammatical formation. So you can write that in a dvandva samasa, like hot, cold could be a dvandva samasa. But Krishna here is particularly saying that among the different grammatical formations, this is the most beautiful one. And now I remember the name. The name is Karmadharya. Karmadharya samasa is when you have a samasa that is just a descriptive, like it's two things put together. And it's very beautiful because then you don't have separate words. These words come together and then you can make nice poetry from them. So that's kind of the long answer to your question. Thank you. Vimala Bhakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam Prabhuji. I have only two realizations, just I wanted to share. The
Yes.
one realization, I felt that you were very much absorbed in these shlokas today. I don't know what, because maybe the chapter, like you are so much into that absorbed, which gave us the strength. That's the one thing. The second thing is that we got that answer. There were many times there are questions that why Krishna gave this knowledge to Arjun among Pandavas, not to Yudhishthira, not to anybody else. So here is the answer, because he's among Pandavas, he's Arjuna. So will that be a good answer? If
Yes.
somebody asked that, right?
Yes. Because, I mean, all five Pandavas were unalloyed devotees of Krishna. And again, I was just hearing that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was saying that all the associates of Lord Chaitanya were pure devotees, and one should never say that one is higher and the other is lower. One is better than the other, because they're all his unalloyed devotees. However, in the spiritual logic, even in best, there can be better, right? So best means best, but all the devotees are best, but even among the best, there's some that are even more best, right? So Arjun and the Pandavas are like that. They're all the best devotees of Krishna. Maharaj Yudhishthira was so dear to Lord Krishna, that it's said that whatever he would ask Krishna to do, Krishna would never say no to him. Like he would say no to Arjuna or Bhima, or even to Yudhishthira's mother, Kunti. But if Maharaj Yudhishthira asked something, he would never say no, because he was so dear to him. So it's hard to say who's the best, right? But Arjun has a special relationship with Krishna. It's still special because Arjun is, Krishna's buddy. He's his greatest devotee. He's completely unenvious. He's right next to him. He's very intimate with him. He has a very intimate relationship with him. They're all the best, but just in that relationship, he's very intimate. So it's in terms of devotees and spiritual things, it's kind of a transcendental logic. It's not exactly the same, like Krishna says, among the beasts, I am the lion. The lion is clearly the most powerful animal. If you put him against any other animal, the lion generally wins. But in the case of Arjun, it's like more like a spiritual logic. Like we say, Madhurya Ras is the best ras among the other rasas. It's the best, but all the rasas are perfect. They're all the best. Mother Yashoda's love is no less than, a gopi's love for Krishna. But still, Madhurya Ras is the most intimate. So therefore, we say it's the best.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Very nice. And yes, actually, these verses, Chaturshloki Gita and everything, they are, very wonderful. And so I think that's why you noticed that I was very enthusiastic about these verses. So thank you. Hari Priya, you will end us. You will give us the final one.
Yes, like 4 points I like really much was that to those, like Krishna saying that to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Bhagavad Gita. And then another thing I like is that so Krishna says that I carry what my devotees lack, and I preserve what they have. And that's also really nice. And Also, another quote from Krishna was that to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with shining lamp of knowledge the darkness of ignorance. And also, one last thing was that a pure devotee does not need to be worried about material necessities of life. He does he does not need to be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically from the Lord.
Wow. You also you picked up the most favorite sentences. I love that passage as well. So I have one question. How do you write these down so fast?
After we sometimes there's a picture of in our iPad, and sometimes when this a point a verse or something, we until that you're saying, we just write it really fast, and that's the way we do it.
Wow. You're a genius, I must say. Thank you very much. And you summarize the points so nicely, and you remind us of the main take-home points. So thank you, everyone. We will reconnect next week. Enjoy reading chapter 10. And next week, our homework is, by next week, we have to become self-realized. So all of us, by reading the 4 verses of Gita, Arjuna was fully convinced. So we'll be fully convinced about Krishna by next week. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.